icon shows my daughter because she hijacks my laptop. So yes, I'm the 20 to 30 years older version of my icon. So thank you. I am a little bit confused as to why I've been invited to this group, but I am very grateful. So thank you. I've loved listening to everybody. It's incredibly insightful. I'm the chairperson of a local homeless shelter here in the Helderberg. I'm also a pastor's wife. That's my day job, but being in the ministry isn't really a job. It's a calling. So in between it all, I've just found that I have this love for homeless people, which is quite bizarre because I generally practice sanitizing even before COVID, and I don't really enjoy secondhand things. I'm a minimalist and I'm a little bit OCD. So nevertheless, I've been attracted to helping homeless people. So it's been an incredible journey. But what I want to talk about is this weird math equation that's been going on with our homeless shelter during the lockdown. And that is that before the lockdown, our finances were really tight. And I knew that the pressure was on for some key fundraising events. But I have been the chairperson for 8 to 9 years. And I find that we do the same events every year. We do them better and we get in a little bit more finance. But it's incredibly exhausting, and I needed to recreate the wheel in some way. But a homeless adult isn't exactly a marketable dynamic to get people interested in giving. I always say we don't have puppies and we don't have children, so it's not very sexy. And yeah, that's the truth of it. So I was getting a little bit kind of tired, and last year we received the news that a property that we had been petitioning to take into our hands for 4.5 years, had been really hard at it, negotiating and very near signing the lease, that the door had closed. And that was last year this time. And I was, so going into this year, I was disheartened. We were doing a great job with running the night shelter. The bills were being paid and the needs were being met, but we needed something more. We wanted to increase our vision and increase our impact, and it's very difficult to come at that. So in the middle of the lockdown, we got a call from social development, and they said to us, look, we've got keys to a building 1 block down from your shelter, and we would like to know if you could take care of the needs of homeless families during lockdown. So it was quite a shock when they came to us with this, because that is what we had been petitioning to do for 4.5 years, but got the no with regards to a property that belongs to the government. We got the no last year. Now all of a sudden the government comes to us and asks us if we will use their facility via social development and help people during the lockdown. So we literally received the keys on the Friday, and by the Monday we received 90 people that made up about 20 families. It's a school building that's no longer being used as a school, because they have built a brand new school building in the Strand. So 17 classrooms, a very small kitchen, dining room, but nevertheless good enough if you're keen to grab a hold of an opportunity. So the last 3.5 months during lockdown, I've had to renovate bathrooms and break down walls and do what we can to accommodate all these families. We now have just over 70. We have 25 children and the rest are adults. It's been a roller coaster of a ride, because you're talking about families that have been on the street for 5 to 10 years. And now for the first time ever, there's a homeless shelter that can cater for them, because I'm not sure if you're aware, but there are no shelters in the Western Cape that can cater for a family unit. So most families just stay on the street because they don't want to be separated. Our shelter that we've run for 32 years is a single adult shelter, and over the years I've always been so heart sore because we've had requests for families but not been able to cater for them. And you know, the women stay in the women's dorm, the men stay in the men's dorm, and the children are usually taken away by social development. So this was a grand opportunity. And yeah, so now to go to the second point, we are 4 months in running this family shelter. We initially got a 3-month tenure on the facility. It's been extended to March next year, and we're busy negotiating the following 3 years. So I do think we are never going to leave the site. It's so conveniently in the same street. We're in Church Street, our original adult shelter, 71 Church Street, and the new family shelter is 59 Church Street. So it really is amazing. But the math miracle of it all is that our bank account, I try and operate our running costs and our savings. I try and make sure that we have 3 to 6 months worth of savings, monthly operational costs in our bank account at any given time, so that if a predicted fundraiser is cancelled or something happens like a worldwide epidemic, that we can get through the next 3 to 6 months. And we were really low end of March, and I was looking forward to a big art and wine auction during the month of May, the beginning of May, to boost those finances. Then came the epidemic, and we got the keys to this new building that needed renovation, needed finance, needed attention. And I can really sit here now and say, miraculously so, every need has been met. Our bank account currently has 3 to 4 times the finance that it had at the beginning of March. But not only that, we have spent 3 to 4 times our monthly budget during the epidemic. So we usually operate on a monthly budget of about 120 to 150 most, and the majority of that is salaries. We need at least 1 person per every 10 people we take care of, and some of our staff do supervisory shifts, etc. So yeah, we've gone from caring for 50 people to caring for 120, 130 people. We didn't even know how to increase our budget because we're so used to operating a bare minimum of 120 to 150. And we only had about 300 in our bank account in March. We've now got 400 in our bank account, and we've spent 400,000 to 500,000 Rand over and above our monthly expenses on the building. We haven't made a big plea. A lot of people don't even know that we have a second shelter, but miraculously every need has been met. And on top of establishing this new shelter, employing an additional 5 staff members, we've managed to hand out about 500 grocery parcels. We realized that that wasn't sustainable and very costly. So we diverted back to our voucher program, where we encourage the public to buy vouchers, and we honor the vouchers at our front door to the homeless people. The vouchers cost 20 Rand, but on average, each person cashing in a voucher is receiving about 50 Rands worth of groceries. So we've relaunched that. And we've been the key assistant to channeling funds from the community to the needs of soup kitchens in the local townships. There's 6 soup kitchens that are running daily, and they're feeding 2,500 to 3,000 people. We were requested by somebody from the community, a local CAN group, could the night shelter's bank account be used to channel the funds? Obviously, they realized that they could trust us and that we were a good option to redirect the funds through. And it's just absolutely incredible how much money has been given, which we have not received. We've rechanneled, but how many lives have been impacted. And I could have thought, well, that's quite risky, and maybe had a more selfish approach and thought, I'm not going to market the feeding and be the link between soup kitchens and the township, because it might take away from funds that the night shelter would have possibly received. But I realized that it's not an option to be selfish and not think of others. And if we can channel the funds, we should do that. It's taken an incredible amount of admin, ordering groceries, dropping it off. Our staff have really worked hard. But because we've been willing to have open hands and open hearts, we have not lacked for anything. Our pantry remains to be full. The giving keeps on coming, and I've got great faith and confidence going forward, even though we've literally not just doubled but almost tripled our operation overnight. So yeah, that's the amazing story of the night shelter and the season that we've been in. It is something that was totally unexpected, but we're so happy to have been on this roller coaster ride during the mess of everything. And I know a lot of people have suffered and struggled, but I can honestly say I've worked the hardest I've ever worked at the night shelter during the season, and it really isn't my day job. I'm a volunteer, but I've volunteered Monday to Friday and most weekends during the season. But I've loved every minute of it because none of it has made sense, but it's been the biggest blessing to the homeless community that we could have ever imagined. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Jo. I think what you're doing is so amazing, and caring for the people around you is really, it's great. Thank you for sharing your story with us. I would just like to thank all the speakers for their time and their amazing talks. I think with regards to time, we're running out. So we're just going to open the floor now for any questions that anybody would like to pose to either the group or any of the speakers. And we won't have time to go into the breakaway groups. So the floor is open now for any questions or even any comments that you'd like to make.
I've got a practical question, if I can come and ask from Jo. I can see the response from all the chat and what an impact it's made from your talk and how inspiring it's been. But I want to go a little bit more practical side. How has the whole fact of everything being implemented with legislation of the COVID-19 had a direct impact on your on the shelter? Coming in and thinking about sanitizing and cleanliness and protocol in that regard.
Sure. So the single adult shelter, we've run that for 32 years. I've been involved for over 10 years managing the shelter. It was very confusing. We reached out to other shelters trying to ask, what do we do? What should we do? Everybody was trying to figure out their own answer. So eventually we just realized we've got to go into lockdown. Similar to a retirement village, we have to lock our clients in. So we had our staff on a skeleton roster, and we made sure that everybody had masks, had sanitizer, etc. But a shelter is like a home environment. So once we were sure that everybody was clear, we had screening done, which was fantastic. The local clinic came and screened everybody. Then we knew that who we had the all clear. But unfortunately, sometimes people need to leave the premises. They have to go sort out important things with SASSA and bank and employment opportunities. So we had to create an isolation zone, and we had to dig into our finances to just upgrade that to make sure it was more hospitable. So it incurred a bit of cost, but our isolation zone is working really well at the single adult shelter. We have had quite a few, we had 2 or 3 staff members positive, and they took 2 weeks off. One of our staff members was quite severely affected, and he was off for 4 weeks. We didn't realize that we could apply for the TERS funds because we thought, well, we're still open, but we didn't realize that any deduction in hours worked by the staff meant that we could apply. So thankfully, we've applied for that, and it looks like that's going to come through. The main member of the adults shelter that was working overtime is Wayne, our manager. He is incredible. It's been so hard for him. Then over to the new family shelter, that was a lot more complicated. Yeah, we have had 3 screenings, and what we've also done is we made sure we stocked up in throat lozenges and obviously thermometers and cough meds and all those general things, because the majority of the people there came directly from the streets. So, and most of them were in tents in Strumfontein without mattresses, in harsh conditions. So they came to us in a very vulnerable emotional state. So we made sure that we just addressed their general health issues at all time. And most of them only had symptoms for a couple of hours, nothing more than 12 hours. So we have had several screening sessions. But yeah, we have a come and go sign out policy at the family shelter, which is different to the single adult shelter, but we have more space. We've got 17 classrooms, and we've tried to make sure it's just one family per classroom. So it's a bit of a question, because people come in and they say, not everybody's wearing masks. So I said, well, do you wear a mask at your home with your family members? And then they say no. So I said, well, it's similar here. We're just a really extended family of 70 odd members. But yeah, thankfully, so far so good. We haven't had any situations, and I don't know if it's the sheer strength of the immune system of those who have had to face homelessness for so many years. I don't know if it's the fact that their body has to deal with addiction and far greater challenges, that COVID hasn't affected them. I'm not sure, but I was very concerned at the start of lockdown. I installed a TV so they could watch news, so that they could be up to date with what was going on in the world. And I warned them, but everybody's been of good health. We haven't had any situations. And yeah, we've been blessed by the community with an abundance of masks and sanitizer. So we do have rules and regs. They do have to exit the gate with a mask on, but once they come in that gate, the mask is off. And they're very good to tell us if they've got the tiniest cut on their finger, let alone a sniffy nose or anything. The staff, the team of volunteers, we act like parents. Homeless people are often not necessarily uneducated, or they come from all walks of life, but the general core is that they are downtrodden in their heart and spirit, and they will gravitate towards any parental figure, and that's what we as staff play the role of. So they will come and tell us anything. We don't have to worry, but we do check on the quieter ones. Are you okay today? How are you feeling? So we've got a good handle on how everybody is feeling emotionally and health-wise. And thankfully, the local clinics and the doctors have been there for us.
Wow, very encouraging. Thanks, Jo.
Thank you so much, Jo. We have a question in the chat from Tasneem for Miss Beth. May I ask, what is the name of your organization, Family Shelter? And or where did you say it is based?
We're based in Somerset West. We're the only shelter in the Helderberg. It's called the Somerset West Night Shelter. If you follow us on Facebook, you will get daily updates. We've got some fantastic testimonies and stories there. We've just uploaded a little video which shows aerial drone footage of where the original single adult shelter is, and how close a block away is the new family shelter.
Thank you so much, Beth, for that, for answering those questions.